Helicopters have been delivering critical supplies to stranded communities after homes, roads and bridges were washed away. The Prime Minister, Chris Hipkins, has called it New Zealand's biggest natural disaster this century.
Telecommunications have been severely disrupted. Fresh water is in short supply in some areas, and roads have been badly damaged, limiting access to some areas and causing significant delays in others.
With more on the continuing disaster in New Zealand, here's Roger Ball, Acting Director of Emergency Management at the New Zealand Civil Defence. Roger, thank you so much for your time. So there have been 11 fatalities so far. Is that number expected to rise?
Good afternoon. So what we know is that at this stage, yes, it is 11, and we are signalling that it's possible that that number could increase. We're not expecting dramatic numbers, in terms of increases, but we do still have some people unaccounted for, and police and urban search and rescue and others are working carefully to try and sort of close that gap in terms of our understanding.
So what about those people who are unaccounted for? How many people are there in that position, and what's known about how badly Gabrielle has impacted them?
Yeah, so we do have probably in the region of a little bit under 2,000 people at this stage who are unaccounted for, but there are a number of reasons for that. Not everybody has registered themselves as being safe or found, and in a lot of areas communications are still very sketchy, and police are working through just to close that data up. In terms of the impact on the community, this is a major, and as the Prime Minister has said, it's probably one of our largest natural disasters this century for sure. Substantial impact on infrastructure, power, communications, roading and water. We've still got over 200 people sleeping in our civil defence centres overnight, even though the declaration of emergency now has been running for 7 days. So it is having a very significant impact on our community, the regional economies, and it will be many, many months in terms of recovery and restoring services.
So for those people who are unaccounted for and those who are cut off, essentially, how great are your concerns for their safety?
Well, look, I think a lot of progress has been made in those areas in the last sort of 48 hours. I spoke to the Gisborne regional controller last night and again this morning. They're pretty comfortable that they've managed to reach all of their isolated communities. In the Hawke's Bay, which is the other area that we're particularly worried about, they've managed to make contact with, I would say, more than 90% now. They've got 3 specific communities they're looking to reach today by helicopter probably, and we're hoping that they'll have at least made basic contact with all of them by the end of today.
Okay, but for those who are still cut off, supplies must be running low. Food in local shops and supermarkets must be dwindling. Power and water supplies are still not working, is that right?
Yeah, we've got about 22,700 people still without power, and that's mainly in the Hawke's Bay area, but also in pockets elsewhere in the eastern and northern parts of New Zealand. But some big advances have been made in Napier City. Last night they managed to double the amount of houses that had their power restored as compared to the day before. So there's some really good progress being made. In terms of food supplies, food is getting in now, and even into cut-off places like Wairoa, road access has been restored. HMNZS Canterbury will be coming into Napier Port probably around about 4 o'clock tomorrow. It's a very large naval vessel, and we'll be unloading stores, and a Defence Force have set up a distribution network in the area to get food and supplies out. And I should add that we've got 27 persons from the Australian Urban Search and Rescue working alongside our Foreign Emergency New Zealand, and they're in the field as well, contributing to the hard work that's underway.
What about the rebuild then? It sounds like it's going to be a while before reconstruction and repair proper begins, Roger.
Yes, I mean, we're certainly working on that. You're right, we're not ready to really sort of launch into it just yet, because at this stage, it's about reaching the communities, assessing their immediate, if you like, impact needs, but also doing that damage assessment. So we've got a picture. I think that at this point, the question is, how much longer does the state of national emergency go in that kind of response phase? And then at what point do we transition to more of a recovery mode? But in the background, we are standing up significant resources to map that, plan it, and lead it, and that will be a national effort.